I'm back with Kelly Shackelford, President and CEO of First Liberty Institute. We're talking about religious freedom. The website, by the way, firstliberty.org. And Kelly, you were telling me that most of us are familiar with the decision involving Coach Kennedy. That was a win for religious freedom, but it was perhaps a bigger win than many people realize. Can you spell out why that was such a landmark decision with kind of a wide ripple effect?
Yeah, I mean, most people know Coach Kennedy was the coach who, after the game, went to the center of the field and went to a knee and gave a 20 or 30-second prayer thanking God for the privilege of coaching those young men, and that he was ordered not to do that again. And he was, in fact, fired when he went to a knee. And most people know he won after 7 years of litigation, we finally got to the Supreme Court. He lost every step of the way. He lived in the Ninth Circuit, God bless him. And we won at the Supreme Court, and he is back on the team. He's a coach. And this fall, he will go to a knee, and there'll probably be 1,000 TV cameras there as he goes to a knee and says a prayer. That's what most people know. But what they don't know is what was in the decision. And that is, there's a case called Lemon. And this goes back, it's the same court that it was 1971, same court essentially that gave us Roe v. Wade. We have an establishment clause because our founders didn't want us to ever establish a national church that we would all have to support, because that would take away from religious freedom. But in 71, in this Lemon case, they said, no, we think it means a lot more than that. We think it means separation of church and state. So wherever government is, religion can't be. Of course, government's everywhere. We think it means that you can bring a lawsuit if you're offended. Well, you can't bring a lawsuit if you're offended, only religion. And so that's why our whole lives we've seen all these attacks on nativity scenes and a Ten Commandments monument. And if there's any sort of religious activity at school, it's like a fire's broken out. Why? Because any of those things are in the Constitution? No, because of this Lemon case. It's been cited over 7,000 times in the last 50 years and has created all this sort of hostility to religion and religious expression in public. And so, 4 years ago, we actually had a case, I don't know if you remember this, it was the Bladensburg Cross. It was a memorial that had been put up almost 100 years by moms who lost their sons in World War I. And there was a lawsuit by the American Humanists, and sure enough, at the Federal Court of Appeals, 2 Obama judges and a Clinton judge, it was 2-1. We lost, and they said it was unconstitutional. One of the judges said, why don't we just cut the arms off the cross? That way nobody will be offended, and we won't have to tear it down. So we went to the Supreme Court, but by now, Kavanaugh was new on the court and Gorsuch, and we thought, we're not only going to go for protecting this memorial, I think it's time to go after Lemon. And so we did. And we won the case 7-2, but 5-4, 5 of the justices refused to follow Lemon for the first time. And it was really a sort of a crack in the armor. But I told our staff, it's going to take us maybe 10 or 15 years to get this thing drug into all the other areas like schools and everything else and stop Lemon. And 3 years later, there we were with Coach Kennedy at the Supreme Court. And we were like, there's never been a case at the Supreme Court on the rights of either teachers or coaches and their faith at school. So if we go for the get rid of Lemon grand slam, it might lose our case because we're too aggressive. So we didn't push that argument. Midway through the oral argument, out of nowhere, all of a sudden, Kavanaugh and Gorsuch start saying, I think it's time we get rid of Lemon. And we're just standing there shocked. I mean, our eyes are as big as silver dollars. Can't believe that this discussion is going on. Surely enough, in the opinion, just right at the beginning, they say Lemon is gone. Lemon's over. I mean, that is 50 years, 7,000 citations. Best way I can describe this is, one of my guys came in the office, and one of my more aggressive attorneys, and said, I need $20 million. And I said, what do you mean you need $20 million? He said, we've got to go into every community, open every one of these cases. So everywhere that crosses went down, they come back up now. Everywhere that 10 Commandments are in the closet, they come back out. Everywhere that prayer was taken out, it comes back in. And I said, no, I'm with you. But this is not us taking back the country. People now in their own communities can take back their country. We've already won. They just need to know that they now have the freedom that they didn't know they have now to bring all these things back, to restore faith in America across the landscape. And so I see it, Dinesh, as almost the opposite of like Antifa tearing down statues, this is putting it back up of who we are. And it's a major shift. It's a 50-year shift in the law. It's in favor of religious freedom and religious expression in public. The limit is the government can never coerce anybody with regard to religion. But this idea that they have to shut down all religious activity is over. And so the things that people have been trained for 50 years that they can't do, like have a nativity scene or have a prayer at the school board meeting that's all over. That's all protected now. And people just don't know it. So it's just, it's the opposite. We're always on defense. This is offense. We've already won. It's just a matter of people in their own communities taking their communities back.
I mean, wasn't the key to Lemon, Kelly, the idea that you could only have a religious event or symbol or display if it had a secular purpose? I mean, how crazy is that? So
Yes.
if you put up Moses, you can talk about the impact of Moses on Western civilization, but you couldn't talk about the Ten Commandments because that's, quote, religious. And what you're saying is that that bedrock structure, which has been around for 50 years, has now been capsized. In some ways, it's, I think, just as significant as the overturning of Roe, a bad decision with polluting effects throughout the law that has now been happily uprooted. Let's take a pause.
Yes.
When we come back, our final segment with Kelly Shackelford.